Being here, the local community was quite essential to my activation of my vision of being here, and it's been really an honor, and it's been really a great learning experience. Just experiencing the poetry scene here, the music scene here, the sonic expressions, the expressions of body languages, and the poets and the rappers, the musicians, the DJs that I met have really, 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 really influenced my sonic expression. I organized like a really intimate, small poetry and music session. Poetry meets together with Wow and May, and we called it Nada por acaso, which means nothing happens by chance. And it kind of, I feel like even the title of the event kind of just summarizes the experience of me being here and interacting with the local scene, and going to Pelourinho, to that square, and experiencing like a hip hop battle, like a rap battle. I haven't experienced that for a long time. Like the last time I think attended like a rap at Mittwoch in Berlin. It's like probably 10 years ago. And that style of battle rap, usually I think you see this from like documentaries nowadays, from documentaries from the 90s or early 2000s, because everything has become more, we have to make it cleaner, we have to make it commercialization. So like experiencing that battle rap situation that apparently happens like every other week, organized by Munha and Munha's friends as well. That took me back like down memory lane, and I was immediately inspired, and that's when I met Munha, and I was like, hey, I need to connect with you. And the first thing we talked about like our work and stuff, and he checked out my page, and he was like, oh, poetry, I'm a poet. I'm like, no way, wait, you organize, you're a rapper and you're a poet? And I think I haven't experienced so many, because I also spoke to other musicians, I haven't experienced so many rappers like from the hip hop scene, like say with so much pride that they're poets. Like almost like, what, you're a poet? I'm a poet as well. And then how I grew up, it was like poetry, it was that. And I think, also thinking of like masculinity and hip hop, and like I'm pretty sure a lot of rappers started off with poetry, because rap, it's rhythm and poetry. I'm talking a lot about hip hop right now because I think expectation wise, I came here and I was like more inspired by bossa nova, ballet funk, like from Rio, like this like polyrhythmic similarities also with the bata drums, with Yoruba, and like that's kind of like the sound palette expectations that I came with. And then speaking to Nadi, who told me about like the metal rock scene, it's like, damn, yeah, I heard about the metal Brazilian rock scene. I was like, oh, it's actually a big thing. And then going to the battle rap scene, I was like, damn. And then poetry, yeah, I think it was just a conglomeration. And I think one last thing about like with the intersection of like masculinity and hip hop, what I noticed here is when we through the event, we also had people from the queer community, like rappers also from the queer community, like Adeusa, who's trans, feminine, a musician, and also poet, a rapper, like there's always this like, I'm a poet, I'm a rapper, I'm a dancer, I do everything, and Munha being there, they already all know each other, there's like a community, there's a lot of appreciation, whereas in Berlin, when I curate, not only Berlin, but I think in certain spaces in Europe, even though we think that we're so liberal and we're so open, I'm still very, very much aware and very, very much alerted and trying to see, okay, I don't want if I don't want like queer bodies to feel threatened. So I have to always do like a background check when I invite like male, cis male musicians, for example. And he was like, "Oh yeah, Adios, I know her. I know her." I was like, "What?" That's it's so beautiful to experience kind of like that. I want to say support system in the local scene, and I think that's something that I'm taking with me, like the support system, the culture, outside of just, of course, Afro-Brazilian culture and the musical heritage, but also the influence from like American hip hop culture, and the influence from metal and rock and like that conglomerate the way it exists together, where people go and meet at the samba spot, So Shape. That's where I always like see the same faces sometimes. And then the next week we have a DJ session with Italo. Shout out to People Man. And I prepped like an Angola and Batida, like very like high BPM set, because I checked out their music and I was like, yes, this is this is it. And it's so refreshing to see the same people at a samba spot, talking about metal, talking about there's always like this referencing to Brazilian, also film culture, like, oh, have you seen City of God? Like there's an appreciation, and there's also an openness to other cultures, and also urban cultures like hip hop. And as a hip hop person, as a hip hop girl, I was really intrigued by that, and I think like the local community really taught me how safer spaces are so normalized. I think that's something that I'm really taking with me, like especially the Nada Por Acaso event was so like beautiful. It was really beautiful, and and also the content of the poetry, the content of the music is quite forward thinking. It's something also that I'm always aware of, because I feel like with poetry there comes a deep responsibility to comment on the stage of now, as humans, as beings, as moving bodies, as movers, as observing bodies, but also considering like what is going on around us. And that's something that I was quite fond of, that every single performer, even the open stage, they had something very deep rooted to share, like very touching, emotional, but also political. And I would say very forward thinking, very critical, like critical thinking and education in arts, in music, in poetry was quite big here. Yeah, for sure. I feel like this residency was really about collaboration. I came here thinking, okay, I wanna get this done and this done, and I wanna do this session, and then I met Deji, a fellow Nigerian, and we had so many ideas, and not enough time. So we were already plotting how we can meet up again in Salvador next year, because we had like really so many ideas. Especially Deji was like, he was out there doing a lot of things. So I didn't want to like put like another project on his head. But this was definitely an encounter where I feel like, okay, we can, join forces and really try to combine like our creative practices and also our different discourses on identity, on also I would say on creative expression, and space, how we perceive space, and just having that conversation and just being with him and the other residents, Pachi. That was a very, very, very inspiring encounter. Every time when I speak to Pachi, I feel like uplifted, and I always feel like, wow, I need to learn so much more. She hosted this dinner with residents from the island, and that was quite inspiring. I was challenged to think about sustainability, about water not only as a spiritual entity, but also as an element that is being threatened. And I think that's something that I'm definitely taking with me, because in Yoruba culture, like water is like, there's like water goddesses or water deities, I would say, and I think that connection between environmental protection and the spiritual preservation is quite striking in Brazil. I think it's something that Nigerians can learn from, and also the governments. I think that's a loophole or like a gap that that Patty also through her presentation really put in the forefront of the discourse, and that was quite inspiring. And in a creative sense or performative sense, I would say, with Noor, it was beautiful. Like, Noor is an amazing musician. I had Noor in the lineup of Nada Poakazo, and he was accompanying Steve Mikuja, who's a Cameroonian poet and who happened to be here in Brazil and came all the way from Rio to perform. And Nada Poakazo, they've never met before, and I think just this magic of improvisation is something that I really see in Noor, and free jazz and just free expression. And that was just like, I also want to do something with him. Like, after I saw him, like, whoa, I was like, what? That was amazing. That's collaboration between like Steve Mikuja and Noor. Magic. It was beautiful. And then also Noor performing, of course, their own poetry, and that was just amazing. And then at the presentation on Monday, where we had like all residents presenting, we did like a little collaboration where I joined one of the pieces in between for Noor's presentation, where it was basically a musical expression and collaboration with musicians from UFBA, I believe, and that was just a dream. Like, I was dancing freestyle movements, freestyle dance. I'm also a dancer, and I don't get to show that side of me, and that was really beautiful to be able to collaborate with a musician, with musicians, not just one, with multiple musicians, and multiple ways of interpreting sound and space, because I think it's always about how the space is being perceived and taken in and then interpreted into something even more beautiful. Like in the space you can have people who are coming from a very stressful day, who have gone through some really crazy things, and I think everyone has just like different like everybody has like a different historicity in an audience, and it's that's why like the word magic is like so prevalent when I speak of like performances. Is you as a musician, as a mover, as a DJ, as as someone who has a creative output, I think the most important thing is like the exchange with the audience, the exchange with the othered or the other, and so like the people just right in front of you, acknowledging the presence and taking it in and creating something beautiful out of whatever you've taken in. And I think just like this ability to express so many emotions at the same time, this like polyrhythmic sense, is something that also inspired me to dance. So like that interaction was very necessary and also very, very touching. And I had to just like run out and then play a DJ set, and that was like catharsis. Yeah, and I think like a lasting impact for sure is the sense of a continuing collaboration. I'm gonna see Deji in Nigeria. So it's the time where everyone is like leaving and goodbyes. So definitely we'll be plotting something in Nigeria, and also meeting Aduke Gomez was very inspiring, and I feel like now I have more of a how do I say it? I have more of a actual grasp to understanding Afro-Brazilian culture, but also like the disconnect or connectedness or distant relativeness or relationness with Yoruba people from Nigeria. So that was, yeah, that was quite inspiring when she talked about how they are Nigerians with Afro-Brazilian heritage who are in touch with their third, fourth cousins in Brazil. Because I was always pondering about how people were left behind and how this disconnectedness can be resolved somehow. Because I feel like there's some sort of maybe disconnectedness could be also because of the government. And I mean, I feel like that's like foreign policy. They need to do better in like creating exchange programs between the youth and so on. So yeah, I think it really inspired me to like talk to more people in Lagos as well about like, hey, did you do some research on your relatives in Brazil? Because I was in Bahia and people be looking for family members in Nigeria. So yeah, that's kind of like, yeah, I feel like I've drifted away from the question. Don't tell me this was also 9 minutes. No. Yes, I've had the privilege and thank God a bit of time to also go to Rio. So in Rio, that's where I honestly did most of my sonic research. I did some crate digging. I talked to a connoisseur of Afro-Brazilian heritage, especially like the women in the music scene. I had a lot of beautiful conversations on Zeze Mota and also like Bahian music. Luigi Luna, I saw Luigi Luna, which was like, I really love her music. And I think, yeah, being in Rio really, that was like, yeah, the epitome of like my sonic vinyl research, crate digging, talking to the vinyl community. Like there's a huge vinyl community, and also seeing like highlife records, bata drumming records. I would say next year I would want to come back for sure, and hopefully work with Deji on bringing communities together and actually have a panel discussion, not panel, but like a fireside chat kind of thing between different creatives and artists from different communities. And I would really love to do more poetry sessions, more music sessions, and it would be a dream to have like an exchange between Nigerian youth, Brazilian youth, Germany, you know, like a how do you say it, like tri-continental kind of? Mm-hmm. Yeah, tri-continental exchange. That would be really beautiful because I can see like the potential, like the diaspora in Germany, for example, you know. What else? I'm like, should I say all my ideas before someone steals my idea? No, I'm joking. But yeah, for sure. Like in terms of the sound and DJing, I've been able to connect with a few DJs, and like Bachiku, the founder of Bachiku, and I've been talking to him about him coming to Berlin and doing a session at Refuge, for example, when having that kind of exchange, because I do a radio show on Refuge Worldwide, which is not just a radio station but also like a community hub, and does a lot of like I would say in the realm of activism and community activation. I think that would be really interesting to also look at the favelas, and I went to Vila Sul to the Ile 50 years anniversary, and that was something. And I remember they were at AKW in Berlin, and I missed that. So I feel like, okay, it's nice that I could see them actually in their own cultural center in Vila Sul. That was really beautiful, but I really want to come back and I have more of an opportunity to go into the favelas. I think that's something that I kind of missed, to have the opportunity not just to be in the city center, but also like be in the periphery, and to just have some encounters, deeper encounters there. I think my final message to Vila Sul is thank you. Thank you so much for opening the space to us and giving us the liberty to explore ourselves, and like in terms of exploring the self, not as a flaneur in the city, but really encouraging us to speak with the people, to work and collaborate, and I would say have a creative interplay with the people from Bahia, with the people from Salvador. I think that's something that is very dear to my heart, and I really love being here. I really felt like home. I think I was also lucky to have like the best fellow artists in residence and collaborating with them, and I'm like, oh, I don't even have like, wow, we could just do something completely new together. I think that was really nice, to have that feedback from Vila Sul as well, that hey, you guys can also do something together, because I'm so used to like this German thing of like, oh, you said you're gonna do this, so you have to stick to it, like this like very stringent way of working, and this was a more open way of like coming together and exchanging and having a lot of conversations and dinners. So I think that was really, really, really beautiful and very important, and I really hope that Vila Sul gets to invite more artists from all over the world, and gets to experience artists in residence that also leave a positive, lasting impact, and that will always come back and treat Vila Sul as a whole, because I really feel that we're welcomed here in a very beautiful way, and I think it's always good in an exchange to like, sort of like give back good energy, and bring back good energy, and also bring new perspectives into how you could even make the space more open, and have like a deeper outreach, maybe like in terms of like the periphery. I think that's the only thing that I was kind of missing, is like having that, being in touch with the periphery, space-wise in Salvador, which I know can be very challenging. But one Funny story, actually, at my during my DJ set on Monday, there's this very enthusiastic music head, also vinyl DJ collector, who stayed to the very end of my set, and we had like a 30-minute conversation about music, and he was like, "Oh, you need to come to the favela. I need to bring you." Like, "Oh, I wish I met you like 2 months ago, and I never come here, and I researched about your music, and then that's why I just came." I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." But yeah, I'm in contact with him because I was like, "Oh man, I wish I could have just, you know." So yeah, I think that was really nice, and that's just because we had the opportunity to present our work, you know. And so yeah, Vila Sul is doing a great job. So I think it's just like, oh, how do we get people to? Because it's already an open space. I think it's just because of the locality of the place and maybe accessibility to how to reach here. But yeah, that's it. Let me not talk too much.